The Joe Rogan Experience.
Who else? Alex Jones. He's the biggest,
I love Alex
the
Jones.
most downloads. Alex beat everybody by
Did he
a
really?
fuckload. Yeah, man. It was interesting.
So here's my theory on Alex Jones.
Uh-oh.
Just if you want to go there.
Okay.
I love going there. So I think he's a government plot.
He's not. I'll tell you
think
that
he
for
is.
sure. I've known him forever. I've known Alex since 1998. He's not a
But he
government
couldn't.
plot.
He
He's
couldn't
just a
tell you
crazy
because you
dude.
would tell everybody.
He's not. I've hung out with that guy. I get high with him, drunk with him. He's a fun dude. He is a guy who started out as a guy who was against the president. He was against George W. Bush when
Okay.
W. Bush. I don't even think he was. He was running for president at the time, right? Or was he? When was it? When did Bush become? No, Clinton was president. Yeah, Clinton was president. George W. was the governor of Texas. And he was getting arrested for protesting against them, protesting against the global elitists and all these different
Right,
things.
right.
He didn't really become a supporter of any form of government until Trump. I mean, Trump is like the first guy, and he may or may not be getting played by Trump, where, you know, Trump's his buddy. And I mean,
Right.
Trump is he's a slick guy in terms of how he cultivates influence.
He's an anomaly for sure. Right?
So he's an interesting character in a lot of ways. I mean, if it wasn't,
Okay, so shoot down my theory though, completely. Let me. And it's just a theory. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't promulgate it as fact or anything.
Okay.
But I've always thought that Alex Jones was built by the government to make conspiracy theorists look like loons.
He didn't used to make them look like loons.
Really?
No. He was much more.
I mean, it started with 9/11 though, right?
No. Alex
he
was
was
around
the-
way before 9/11.
But I
he
mean,
started
that's-
with Waco.
But that's when he came to prominence, right? Like because he was the first to kind
no,
of.
even before then, man. You know, I mean,
But nobody cared about him before.
he
then,
was on
right?
AM radio before then.
Right.
But he's been around forever. I mean, like I said, I met him
Well,
in
I'm glad
98.
I'm wrong then.
I met him in 98, so it was several years before 2001. And he was doing the same shit back then.
Nice.
I mean, he's
All right.
always been around doing that.
All
He's right about a lot of shit, and that's what's so confusing.
Right.
Like, he is absolutely right about what they call agent provocateurs, where the government will send in people if they have a peaceful protest that's very inconvenient for them, like the WTO. He did this whole video about how the WTO was that in Vancouver or Seattle? Where was the WTO? I forget where it was. It was somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. I'm confused. But I'm not confused about the story. So what happened was they had these peaceful protests against the World Trade Organization. And it was very inconvenient because all these world leaders were coming to this area for this meeting. And they sent in government agents that were dressed with black ski masks and government issue boots, and these people started smashing windows and lighting things on fire. They turned into a violent protest, which enabled the police to close in and shut down the protest.
Shit.
The WTO protest, where did it say? Alex Jones, police stayed
Seattle,
to the takeover. Seattle? Yeah, it was Seattle. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a real tactic that governments and intelligence agencies use. They have a peaceful protest, and then they have these people like these guys dressed in black ski masks. They start tipping over newspaper stands. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like,
So
why
this
are they doing this?
confirm that they're government agents.
Meanwhile, these guys have government issue boots. No, it goes further. So these guys all got together at the end, and they were cordoned off into a building, and then they were ultimately released. They were never charged. They were never arrested. I mean, the whole thing is incredibly fascinating. And some of them have been identified as government agents, and Alex can
wow.
get way more into
So
detail about it.
That's why, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so to speak. But the one thing I always say is I don't put anything past our government.
There's
Right.
absolutely been conspiracies that are real.
For sure, for sure,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Whether it's the Gulf of Tonkin incident,
Yeah.
whether it's Operation Northwoods, I'm sure there's been a bunch that we don't know about. I believe that the government somebody assassinated JFK. I don't think it was Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone. I think it's very possible Lee Harvey Oswald was a part of it, but I know too much about bullets to think that fucking bullet went through two people and wound up on Connolly's gurney in the hospital looking pristine. Cut the shit. That's all. I don't think that's real at all.
Nice. All right.
I've seen the Zapruder film. I've read several books on the story. I think it's very convenient to lump all that into one guy with one bullet. I think it's horseshit. And I think they probably killed him.
All right.
Dum, dum, dum.
See, I was looking into it a little bit, you know, and then I'm like, you know what? Like, the government probably did this shit, whatever. And
They
this
probably
is like
did
any
a lot of
conspiracy,
shit. They probably did a lot of shit that we don't know about, that we're
Yeah.
not aware of. But
Yeah.
this is how governments work. They've always worked like that. This is how intelligence
I would say
agencies work.
the smart criminals go to politics, the dumb criminals go to jail.
Ah,
You know?
Right. There's a lot of that. Definitely a lot of that.